Welcome back, art friends, to Frogs, Frogs, Frogs. This is lesson 3, working wet on wet. So far we've looked at shape with the oil pastels, and we've looked at lines and linear work with the eco colour, and now we're going to bring the eco colour into the shape. We're going to work wet on wet, and we're going to work quite gently and loosely. So let's go through your materials first. I would like you to have handy your water spray, some water, a brush. I've got a thick brush and a wide brush, and this is a round brush. I have my reference photo of a frog that I want to use. I do have my bamboo sticks handy, and I have my eco colours. So first of all, I'd like you to wet your paper. And I'm just going to make it quite wet. Now, if you wanted to, you could add a tiny bit of colour here. And I'm going to add a little bit of yellow just to take the white. That's not a little bit, that's a lot, but that doesn't matter. Just to take away the white. And there's a tiny little hair there. Okay, probably a bit darker than I wanted to go, but that's okay. So you can see now my paper is quite wet. So this frog, I'm going to go in with a light green. I can test my colours at the side here. So that's the colour I'm using. And now I'm going to look for shape. So I'm going to start with the eye, because I don't know why, but I often start with the eye. I think it's the bump. There's the eye. Take my brush down there's a bit of a point at the nose and going around the mouth. There's another eye here. And that's the back of the eye here. And I'm going to go into the back. It's quite thin, and it gets thicker down here. I might use the darker green. And just made that darker green by adding more blue. Okay. I wouldn't mind a little bit more water, so I'm just going to spray a bit more water. Okay. Now this is a bit lighter, so I'm actually going to go in with a bit of the red, because I just want to change the colour. I might just clean my brush a bit more. Take the excess water off and go back in with a bit more of the red. Okay. Under there, under there, under there. And now I'm going to leave the legs and go for the toes, only because I've got the red already on my brush. I can't see the last two toes, so I'm just going to make them up. Under his eye and back a bit, so under the eye and back a bit is the other toes. Okay, I'm going to clean my brush, and I'm going to go back in with the green. I might go for the darker green and go in for the curve of the knee, a bit of the lighter green, and that arm. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to work back very gently some of those marks. I'm going back to the nose, down the bottom of the eye, around that eye. There's a darker mark there, so I'm just going to put a bit more there. It's a little bit darker here, so I'm going to put a little bit more of the darker green. I could even pick up a touch of that blue. I think my blue is quite green. I'll have to top that up. And go back in there, you can see that's darker. It's side of the knee. And I might just get my handy little stick into that blue and draw that line, the mouth. Now I want that eye to be yellow, so I'm going to clean my brush. Make sure I get that colour off, because I want a nice bright yellow for the eye. I'm going to put a nice good drop of yellow there. While I have the yellow on my brush, I'm going to work around the frog and see if I can find any other yellow parts, like the other eye here. Maybe a little bit on the toes. There's a slight behind to the elbow, there's a yellow bit. A bit more on the toes. The second leg behind the body is a bit brighter, so I'll pop that in. And I might just do a bit more yellow on the leg, around the eye, and maybe underneath a bit. Okay, I like it. Now I'm going to get my handy stick and go in with the blue. And because this is so wet, it is going to expand, and I can't really control it perfectly, but I'm really happy to do that. So I'm just going to let that expand. See that? I love that. I'm going to work around the eye. The stick is also making it harder for me to control. Going in back to that line, going under there, going to the other eye now. Just going to define that eye. And now I'm going in with those linear skills. I've been looking at all those shapes, and I'm just going to use those linear skills from our last lesson and almost outline my frog. Now I've got a big blob there, and those things will happen, that's fine. Working really gently and carefully, not rushing. So I'm just going back and identifying the lines that I've missed. And if my lines don't match up with the shapes, I just work beyond them, and I really don't worry about it if they don't match up. So my feet aren't matching up, and I'm just drawing the lines that I can see. And as I said before, I can't see that last toe, so I'm just sort of going to guess. Again, my lines aren't matching up here. I'm not really that worried about it. Okay. And I'm going to stop there. I actually love this. You can leave it as is, but we are also in the next lesson going to work a little bit in with our work with the oil pastels. So I would love you to make maybe 3 or 4 of these wet on wet pictures of different frogs, and even if you don't think they're successful, keep them, because we'll use them in our next lesson. Okay, remember, it's not about being perfect. Enjoy your equipment, go nice and slow, look for the shapes, look for the lines, look for the colours, and then just let it happen by itself. And don't forget to make your page nice and wet, because you're working wet on wet. Okay, enjoy, and I look forward to seeing you in the next lesson.